Hey, it's Em. And yes, my hair is purple, although in this light it may be hard to tell. So today I was going to talk about some books I've tried and failed to read, as well as a couple I actually made it through. So stay tuned for that. I was debating whether to do this in chronological order or get the books I actually was able to read out of the way first. I think I'm gonna do kind of a mix. We'll start with The Spite House, which I picked up from the library, was enjoying, and then had to return before I could finish it. It's not even a very long book. It's just that lately I have struggled to sit down and read anything, or I had struggled and am struggling again. I had a very nice oasis in there where I sped through a couple of books that we'll talk about in just a moment. I also picked up The Devil House, or maybe it's just Devil House, by John Darnielle. And I have screeched to a halt on that, and we'll talk about that in a moment as well. I have since gotten The Spite House back from the library, so I may try it again. I hadn't gotten very far, maybe like 50 pages in, but I was enjoying it. I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood to read. I've been unmotivated to read or write lately, so it's been difficult. But I have The Spite House again, so that may go back on my list. Another book that I had picked up at the library, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, if I'm remembering right. I was enjoying that one too. I was enjoying that one so much that I kept it 3 weeks overdue and kept trying to pick it up and keep reading. But I just, again, maybe it's the wrong time of year for it. Maybe I'm just not feeling it. I don't know. So I guess what I need to do is get my own copy of a book like that so I don't feel the pressure of a deadline, and maybe I'll be more inclined to read it. I'm not sure. If you've read The Spite House, Devil House, or Tomorrow, tell me whether I should pick them back up. We'll talk a little bit more about Devil House in a moment. But let's get on to the books that I actually read and enjoyed and was able to get through. The first one was The Thursday Murder Club. This was the first, or is the first, in a new murder series. It's not that new now, I guess the first book came out a few years ago, but I finally picked it up. I really enjoyed this. It is about a group of pensioners in a sort of retirement village in England who like to solve murders, cold cases, but then a murder happens. A murder happens, and a couple murders happen, and also there is an older murder to solve at the same time. I just sped through it. If you take, like, I don't know, The Golden Girls and Broadchurch and kind of put that kind of thing together, if you like any or all of those things, I would say this would be for you. It's not all women doing the solving. The core pensioner sleuth troupe, as it were, is a couple of men and a couple of women, but it just was really fun. I know that some people didn't get into it, but I just really liked it. I don't know, maybe because I was struggling so much finding something to read, and this just, for whatever reason, was the thing that hit me the correct way. I just zoomed through it, and yeah, I don't know, I'll almost certainly be reading the rest of the books in the series now. The other book I read that I was just able to keep going with, didn't, feel the need to put it down, was a reread of Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil. I was supposed to go to Savannah in July for an author event that I ended up not being able to go to. But I was really sad because I love Savannah and I haven't been there in 15 or so years. And I don't know, I just was like feeling it, and so I picked the book up. I hadn't been thinking about the book, but I passed by it on a library shelf and thought, man, I haven't read that in a long time, and I really, really enjoyed it. And so I picked it up and reread it. And it... Sorry, that was my phone, which I thought I had turned off. It was not even like a number I recognized, so I didn't bother to answer it. They can leave me a voicemail. I should just turn off the silence unknown callers kind of thing. That would be the way to go. But in any case, yeah, so Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, enjoyed the reread. Understand that for a lot of people there are problematic elements to the book, definitely also to the movie, but they're old favorites of mine, and I believe you can enjoy something and be aware of its flaws at the same time. I don't think you throw the baby out with the bathwater necessarily. There are definitely times when some things should not be tolerated, but I just think that we tend to try to be a little too black and white these days about what we can and can't, will and won't read, or watch, or whatever. Anyway, that aside, let's go back to Devil House. So I was reading it and really enjoying it, and then I hit part 2. And part 2 apparently is just a whole other story that's been like shoved into this story. So in the first part, let me explain the book. Devil House is about a guy who writes true crime type books, I want to say, and he buys this house where some murders took place. And that's what I'm here for, okay? But he keeps referencing this other book that he wrote about this White Witch of Morro Bay. And then we get to part 2 of the book, and all of a sudden it's the White Witch story, and I'm like, this is not what I picked this book up for, and I'm very frustrated, and I'm trying to decide if I can just skip this entire part of the book. I'm like, did they just need more material, so they decided to shove this in here? It's very frustrating. I'm super irritated by it, and so if you've read Devil House, please tell me if I can just skip this, if it's important. I don't know. I'm just really frustrated. The other book that I'm reading, I just started it, is Razorblade Tears by S.A. Cosby. It's been widely recommended, and I am enjoying it. It goes at a very quick clip so far. I just am not, I'm struggling to kind of connect with the two main characters. They're both ex-cons. One's an old kind of white trash guy, and one's a black ex-con. Their sons were married and then murdered, and so they've taken upon themselves to solve the murder of their sons. So there's this unlikely alliance kind of thing going, and it's very voicey because it takes place in, I think, Virginia. And I mean, I don't know, I'm just struggling to connect with the two characters. I'm not an ex-con, I'm not an old white guy, I'm not an old black guy, so I don't, maybe, I don't know. It's well written and everything, and maybe, again, it's just one of these things where I'm just struggling to find something to keep my attention. Maybe I should go read more Murder Club books. But in any case, I may or may not keep reading it right now. All of these books are books I want to get back to. I want to read The Spite House. I want to read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. I want to read Razorblade Tears, and I want to read Devil House. I want to read all of these. I'm just struggling to do it right now. And I don't know if there's a better book for me at this moment. Maybe I should pick up some nonfiction, cleanse the palate. Or if it's just that I'm struggling to read anything right now. But I thought that was the case, and then I found the Thursday Murder Club and was able to read it, no problem. And I I reread Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil and had no problem with that. So I do think there's got to be a book out there that will hold me hold my interest. I just need to find it. Anyway, that's what I've been reading, trying to read lately. Comments, suggestions, leave them in the comments below. And I will see you next time, hopefully having read something. Until then, take care.